Hello everyone, my name is Anne and I'm from National Taiwan Normal University and I am the third year student in my PhD program. My report today is about the use of internet-based paraphrasing tools in developing written language complexity. There are four parts in my presentation: introduction, methodology, results, discussion, and conclusion. First of all is the introduction part. It's about my background and also the previous studies that is important for my study. As you know, essay writing is the very difficult skills for most of our EFL learners because this skill requires students to utilize complex cognitive and linguistic skills in different process of writing, such as planning, transcribing, and reviewing. And students may encounter a lot of difficulties in writing, such as vocabulary or grammar or syntactics and so on. So most of the time, our students may consult teachers or they turn to dictionaries or they go online and find other resources for help. So how can we know a piece of writing is a good one? Normally, we base on CAF framework, which stands for complexity, fluency, and accuracy. As for complexity, there are two parts, two aspects. We can look at structural complexity by look at key unit in words. It means like how long and how complex the structure is. And also we look at the lexical complexities. It's about like the vocabulary and phrases that students use in their writing and is calculated by VACD. And how can we know that students are improving in terms of complexity in their essay? Actually, we base on according to Gavin and Peter, post-test activities can help them improve their written language. Because they work with the language which has been made salient and develop it in some way. And uh, because when teachers grade the students' essay, they responded to the learner-generated language, so they draw some explicit attention and some treatment because of them. So, and also they can exploit the readiness from the part of the learners and foster acquisition processes at the right time. So these may lead to the changes and developments in learner interlanguage system. And one of the skills that the student need when they revise their essays is their paraphrasing skill. She et al. Suggests that paraphrasing is a process of syntactically restructuring, interpreting, and recounting relevant information into the new text. And one of the tools that is very common nowadays is some internet-based paraphrasers such as Quillbot or Wordtune or many others. They are AI tool that can help generate a piece of writing using specific words or phrases, sentences, or even the whole paragraph. And it is also a kind of grammar checker. So in my research, I will use this tool as a post-test to help students revise the essay. So how can we see that trend? How can we see this kind of development in students' language? Actually, it's a very dynamic and non-linear and self-organizing process. And it's according to studies conducted by Yu and Louis. And also the variability over time in the data of the same learner is an important source of information about how the interlanguage system changes over time. So in my study, I focus on the dynamic nature of students' complexity by using dynamic system approach. There are three key complexity aspects. This is stability and variability, context, and also interacting levels and scales. In my study, I aim to explore how WordTune is an internet-based paraphrasing tool, helps students improve their accuracy and complexity. And there are three research questions. First of all, are there any differences in the LD VOC-D scores and the mean length per T unit after 6 weeks? Question 2. How does WordTune paraphrasing tool help develop learners' lexical diversity and structural complexity at the individual level on a week-by-week time scale? And 3. What are the EFL learners' perception of WordTune? Now let's move on to methodology. There are 10 English major fourth-year students from an English class in a college in Vietnam, and there are 2 males and 8 females. Their age is from 22 to 24, and they have been learning English for 13 years, and they didn't learn writing until they enter college. And in my writing course, an elective online writing course for 6 continuous weeks. And it is actually an additional course to the English job interview course. And they took 1 hour every week, including 20 minutes for discussion, for ideas, for brainstorming, for outlining, and after that they have 40 minutes for writing online. Now, in my research, I use some tools like the writing task. I give them 6 different topics, and what tune they can use it for their post writing task, and they apply from group 2 for only one group, and from week 1 to week 5, and after that the final topic will be for evaluating the differences between the 2 groups. So they will not need to revise the essay anymore. And in order to measure its complexity, I use Lex Tutor um, for lexical diversity, and for accuracy, I use code metrics 3.0. It is measured by the number of errors per 100 words. This is an interface of Lex Tutor. So for example, I enter a whole paragraph, and then the tool will help to extract the sentences, and it will analyze how long the sentences is. So I can see the length per T units based on the tool. And this is code metrics. This is to get the measure of lexical diversity, VOC-D. And this is WordTune, the tool that I use to let students revise their writing. Now, for example, the student can enter their writing here, and the tool will analyze their text. For example, if there's some grammatical problem, it can be underlined in the right margin. And after that, the word choice, there are some suggestion for word choice. And also, another important point is paraphrasing options. So when they click at one sentence, there are There are many different options so that the student can read and can consider which one is better to choose and which one they can learn in their to improve their writing. Of course, they cannot copy exactly the same sentence. They need to learn and they need to read carefully and internalize to learn and then to use in their own words. Let's move on to the procedure. There are 6 weeks in my study. The first week, the students are asked to write one topic about online learning, on-site learning, and after that, they write different topics in 6 weeks, and finally, they will have an interview. Only group 2 have an interview with me. For group 1, they will write and revise as suggested by the instructor. For example, they need to improve some parts in the essay, but the instructor only give them some suggestions. But in group 2, they need to use the tool, and they have different options to consider as shown in the example. And this is the result. As for lexical diversity, this is a table show the group means for the LD of week 1 and week 6. LD is for lexical diversity. So you can see in this is the score for group 1. The mean score is 83, and improve. They improve, and to week 6, the score is 88.54. And the pattern is very similar for group 2 with from 83.51 to 87.68. So there's some improvement, but the p values show that there is no significant difference between the two, between the week 1 and week 6 in both groups. This is to show you like there's some improvement but not much between the two groups. Let's move on to structural complexity. So first of all, we can see in group, this is from group 1, and without paraphrasing tool, then there is no significant difference between week 1 and week 6. And in group 2, there is a significant difference between week 1 and week 6. It shows that the students have improved a lot in their structural complexity, and we can see the p-value is under 0.05. Now in the figure 2, we can see the dynamic patterns of structural complexity of different participants on a week-by-week time scale. And we can see the pattern of each student is very different. So, but in general, they performed better in the second and the third week. After that, they have some difficulties in week 4, but in general, you can see some improvement from week 1 to week 6. Now this is an example of one student. So you can look at a figure, and from week 1, this student only get about 15. The score is about 15, but after week 6, after that, in week 6, there is some improvement, right? So now I will show you the quality data of this particular participant. In week one, the original version is in the red shade, and the revised version is in the yellow shade. So in week one, we can see some sentences like learning online is a good way for all people, especially the person who lives. And then she used the tool. This is an example. This is a screenshot that she sent me, that what option that she think the best for her to use. And then she used like all people, for all people, especially those who. Right. So this is the first one, and the second one is very similar. For all people, especially who are working, and then she revised it at especially those who are working. And after the course in week 6, she seemed to internalize this kind of pattern, and then she wrote, in conclusion, online shopping is very suitable for those who are always busy. So it means that she, after having some consideration and then revise her own essay, she seems to learn something. She learned something and then she used it in her own words in a natural way. And another typical example from this participant is the structure they will have. This is a very common mistake in Vietnamese students. Instead of saying they are, she tends to use there will have some similar and difference between. Then she revised it that there are similarities and differences. And then after that, in week 5, this pattern repeated. They will have some disadvantages, and then she revised it as there are some disadvantages. But after she revised it, then in week 6, in her writing, the structure is they are. So she self-corrected it, and then she internalized the rule, and now she can use the right structure. So let's move on to learner perceptions towards this tool. As for participant 1, Chung D, he said that Webtoon is very easy to use. It provides me with a lot of rewrite options, but I still have to read carefully and compare with my original idea to select the right one. I can also improve my vocabulary by using it. So as for him, rewrite options are important, and also vocabularies is also a very good point. As for another participant, she pointed out that the tool helps her in terms of detecting grammatical mistakes clearly and accurately. It helps her know many new words and structures. So very similar from the participant 1, she think that words and structures suggested by Webtoon is not bad, but it can also function as a grammar checker and help her improve her accuracy. And for participant 3, she said that the tool can help her find synonyms and antonyms easily, but it doesn't give me a variety of phrases of different writing styles. The option provided are pretty similar. So antonym and synonyms are also important in improving her lexical diversity. Okay, now let's move on to discussion and conclusion. For lexical diversity, actually, it depends on the topics. For example, tourism and women are the topics that the students are more familiar with. For example, is it because the college is located in a coastal city, and most students may aim at working for tourism industry. That's why when they write about this topic, they seem to have more knowledge, more background knowledge, and more vocabulary. And most of the participants are female. So when they write about women, they seem to have more background knowledge in this topic. That's why they can write more. They can have more vocabulary, and yeah, and then so for different other topics like social media, online games, distant learning, online shopping, this is in so when students write more about this kind of domain, they seem to accumulate more knowledge and about vocabulary in this domain. So the more they write, the more lexical diversity they have. And about structural complexity, is it developing in a non-linear way? The variability will get closer before a new stage of development. So in between, so as we can see from week 2 to week 5, there's a lot of fluctuation, but they when so week 6 can be a little bit like very close to week 5. So it's mean like they are more and more stable in their development in written language. And the time, I think the time should be long enough to see how learners implicitly acquire the internalized new structures. For example, as we can observe in the qualitative data, we can look at their own language, and we can see that change over time, and that can be very clear in the qualitative data over time. And finally, I would like to share about the limitation in my study. First of all, is the very small sample size. There are only 6 students in one group, so it's not enough to generalize the results of the study. And the second is about time. The time, 6 weeks is not enough to see the clear development in their written language. And the next limitation is the way that LexTutor tool calculate T-unit. Actually, it's a break sentence by sentences, but it doesn't have a closer look into the subordinate clauses. And finally, is the online courses. This course is conducted online, so students when students write, they may consult a lot of online resources. So sometimes it can be difficult to judge is it their own language or this is the they look at the other resources online. Okay, so that is pretty much for my study. Thank you very much.